Hello peasants! Welcome back. It is very good to have you again. Today you're finding me in my new apartment. That's better. Today I am going to be showing you the wedding dress that my grandmother, Hilda May Grove Herr, made in 1957 for her wedding that took place on October 12th. She was a Mennonite from Lancaster Conference who grew up in Adams County, Pennsylvania. Her and my grandpa were married at Hostetter's Mennonite Church, which is still standing today. Their wedding was the first wedding ceremony that was actually held in that church, and their wedding reception was held at the Bonneville Fire Company. A few things to mention before we look at this piece is that my grandmother made this dress out of silk taffeta and white lace. The dress was originally white, but it has aged to more of a cream color. My grandmother was in every inch a lady. People that knew her in her early teens and 20s like to say that she was as neat as a pin. She wore a corset up until shortly after her wedding. She also would sew armpit shields into her dresses to keep them from getting stained. My grandma doesn't remember the reason why, but she told me that she did not wear a corset on her wedding day, but she did wear a petticoat made out of stiffened cotton organdy. She really loved using this fabric because she didn't have to starch it in between washes. The dress was made in two pieces, the basic dress and then a cape that went over the bodice for a layer of modesty. Capes had been worn and enforced in the Mennonite church for about 70 years. The cape front has 4 darts that go about 3 inches up on the bodice and 4 darts in the back. The taffeta lining is actually pressed almost up to the shoulder seams, but then the lace part of the dart is just ironed flat right at the point. My grandma used waist tabs on her cape and connected them with snaps. This waistband ended up acting like a belt on the dress. The neck was a scallop design. It's actually a little bit uneven, and the shoulder lines of the cape are different measurements as well. This dress was exactly fitted to my grandmother's measurements. The back of the cape closed with a slit, and then it buttoned with 2 covered buttons and loops. The lining and the lace were hemmed together as one along the sides and hand-stitched down. Here you can see the taffeta lining and the facings on the front neck. Some of the stitching came out, and so I can actually look up inside the facing and see how it was constructed. The back actually had 2 facings, one facing for the slash and then another facing that went not quite halfway down the back. I'm not entirely sure what it was for, but it's a much larger V that goes almost all the way out to the very end of the shoulders. Here you can see I am tracing the outline of that larger one, and now I'm tracing the outline of the smaller one. Here is the waistline of the dress. The dress had 2 darts in the center front, and then 2 side bust darts. The center front was seamed up the middle halfway and then left open and the raw edges turned under. The top was closed with a hook and eye. The inside of the neck is finished with, I think it's a satin ribbon. It might be just a polished cotton tape though. The side of the dress opens with a zipper that starts near the underarm and goes down past the waist and about 2 to 3 inches into the hip. The sleeves were extremely fitted, and they tapered at the wrist down to the middle finger, and each of these sleeves closes with zippers so that the sleeve is perfectly fitted around her wrist. And I forgot to show here, but in the elbow of the sleeve there's actually 3 darts to help shape the sleeve. The sleeve cap is fitted with 4 pleats, 2 in front of the shoulder and 2 behind the shoulder. The skirt is gloriously full. It is 9 gores, and it is entirely lined with the silk taffeta and covered in the lace. Instead of hemming both of these layers separately, my grandmother just hemmed them together along the bottom, even though they're detached along their seam lines. Here I am tracing out the front gore and 2 of the side gores. Here I'm showing the inside of the dress where you can see the silk taffeta, and you'll notice that there is interfacing and a cutting line and whip stitches holding this interfacing into place. What happened was my 13-year-old cousin wanted to play dress up in this dress, and it was too short for her, so she took a scissors to it and chopped it off. So in effort to repair it, my grandma whip stitched it together with interfacing. Later the lace section came undone, and so I restored all of that with a friend, and we went around and whip stitched all the lace back into place. Now I will show you some photos. This picture is the engagement photo that my grandparents took before their wedding. My grandma could not swim, and the boat was actually taking on water, so in between shots they had to bail it out with a bucket. Here's a picture of the entire bridal party. Here they are kissing. This is my grandmother and her bridesmaids waiting to go into the church. This is the bridal party right after exiting after the ceremony. Here are pictures of people coming through and greeting the bride and groom after the wedding. This is them cutting their wedding cake. Here's my grandma licking her fingers. And the really awesome thing about this picture is that I got my retro photo on Instagram to colorize this, and I think she did a beautiful job. Here they are feeding each other cake. Here's my grandma with her parents and my grandfather with his father. My grandpa's mom had recently died from pancreatic cancer, and my great-grandfather had not yet remarried, although he was dating. And here they are by their gift table. This picture was taken right before they left on their honeymoon, and this is a picture of my grandparents in 2007 on their 50th anniversary. If you'd like to keep seeing content like this in the future, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for joining me today on this little adventure. Until you see me again, be a good peasant.